Hi everyone, I'm Meri Čejko, a professor at the School of Communication and Information at Rutgers University in the United States of America. And I want to thank you for inviting me to speak at your conference. I attended it last year, had such a wonderful time. I spoke about my book, Super Connected, the Internet, Digital Media, and Techno-Social Life last year, and I'll be speaking about it this year in connection with project-based learning and how it can really thrive in the remote online teaching environment. I am also a director of a program which utilizes projects in all of our courses. It's called Digital Communication, Information, and Media. And we don't always think of it this way, but actually remote and online learning is a disruptive innovation, which means it's bringing new users, new customers into what otherwise might be an environment that they wouldn't be part of. For example, continuing education students or people who are home and can't get to the university or to the college, or perhaps during a pandemic when nobody can be in person as they would like to be. Remote and online learning is a solution to all of these problems, and it's also a way for more people to be able to engage in higher education. And it has some surprisingly robust outcomes. Students often in online classes and also blended classes, which are hybrid, a blend of some in-person and some online instruction. Students in these kinds of classes tend to arrive at class better prepared than those in traditional courses. They are ready to learn because they've done some of the preparation on their own individually. These students tend to demonstrate a better understanding and deeper exploration of concepts. In general, they write longer and more effective papers. Research indicates that they succeed at an equal or higher rate than students in traditional courses. They engage in deeper and more meaningful discussions of course content because online there is a way for everybody to speak, everybody to join in the conversation. And specifically for our interest today, students in hybrid and blended courses really tend to create higher quality projects. Online courses also very much lend themselves to project learning. If you can have a little bit of in-person instruction, that can help the projects really rise to a higher level as well. And as my own research has indicated, I've been doing research for over 20 years into the impact of digital technology and social media on people's everyday lives, including their learning. And my big finding is that students are super connected. They are online almost all the time. And so what does this mean for them as learners? Well, it means that they're comfortable creating, not just receiving knowledge. They want to be in a space where they can use media and manipulate resources and work with them and find what they want to do, not just be passive and have it told to them. Students are becoming much more comfortable having a hands-on approach to learning. They enjoy collaboration. They like learning by doing, which is an important way to learn. They are predisposed, they are ready to join, contribute, to learn within social networks that they are part of, whether they're on Facebook or Twitter, on LinkedIn, or just, different types of text and group relationships that they already have online, TikTok even. Students are looking forward to ways to use these social networks in their learning when they can. Students are fairly reliant on feedback. They are welcoming instructors talking to them and working with them as they learn new things. I've had so many students tell me that they feel a very strong drive toward being connected, toward their media, their devices. They want to have their devices near them all the time. And so they're comfortable using them, and they want to use them in the course of learning. In fact, it's kind of hard for them not to. It's hard for them to sit in a classroom and not touch their phones because they're so used to being online all the time. And they're easily distracted in non-mediated settings. They understand that digital spaces are real, and they're already spending significant time in them, working and playing, even dating and meeting people. This is where they go to relax. So why would this not be a place for them to go to learn? So we can utilize all this. We can bring all this into our understanding of creating projects that they will want to take part in, that they will want to use and learn from. And then if you think about it from the employer's point of view, the jobs that these students want to get, they want students with these skills. Students who are expert at teamwork, understanding a global context, ethical judgment and integrity, thinking about how to ethically work with information and work in groups, communication skills, which they develop as they work with one another and need to interact in order to complete projects that are group-based, complex problem solving, analytical skills, creating workable solutions for things that are not always presented to them, but that they have to develop, that they have to figure out, innovativeness, devising new solutions to problems, and an ability to use technology. Employers want students who can do all of these things, and projects, specifically group projects, really they specialize in providing students with these skills. So projects build needed skills as students learn. Students engage multiple perspectives, communicate with one another, and have to take diversity into account. Often their group members may not be from the same background as they are, and they have to learn to work in that environment to accomplish their aims. Students learn to listen, observe, ask questions as they develop their projects. They don't always have everything handed to them. They have to ask, what do I need? Where can I find it? What information is credible and what information is not? They'll find these things out in the process of building a project. Conflict negotiation. How do they handle it when things are not working so smoothly? Writing and speaking effectively. Expressing their views in multiple forms of communication. Again, a real technology media-based project specializes in this, and I'll talk about a couple in a moment. But basically, students are going to be learning how to communicate credibility and trust and build relationships and teams. And these are skills that they'll need in life as well as on the job. So here are some kinds of projects that I have developed in the course of my direction of the Digital Communication, Information, and Media minor. And there are many, many examples of these, and you could also, of course, think of many ways to implement this in your own type of curriculum. But on the left-hand side of this little chart here, you see that some projects are simply oriented towards modeling professional behaviors. One of the things that we ask students to do is to go out and interview a virtual team member, someone who is on a work team, to find that person, to interview them, and to use some of the concepts they learned in class to understand and explain how this person works in the digital virtual world. Then they have to create a project about it. They have to show the class and show the instructor how this individual works in the digital world. So by doing this, they're understanding the practicalities of their own kind of work that they may have to do someday. They're learning how to model behaviors and practices and clarify concepts that are otherwise more abstract. It brings them into the practical, real world. Then, as you can see on the right-hand side of the chart, with relation to a project like this or something else where they have to go out and devise a solution to a problem, you have students experiential learning, role-playing, putting themselves in the role of someone at work. So imagining how a work team would solve a problem in the real world, we have students put together a final presentation with a team, about 6 members, choosing a topic from the class and putting together a project that shows how everybody on that team would operate in a real-world setting. And this helps them build a trust in a team, develop relationships, use different technologies, because they also have to include how they would communicate and how they would interact virtually if they can't be together face to face. Many of them use the Slack channel, for example, to communicate. Some use social media, some use email. There's a variety of approaches, including, of course, Zoom and video conferencing and Skype. We have them bring research into the project and find out how other teams might be solving such a problem. And then we ask them to think also about their presentation techniques and to think about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's the SWOT approach. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that present themselves in the course of doing this project among the team and among the members. In our digital capstone course, at the end of our students completing the digital communication information and minor, they take a capstone course in which they do a more individualized project, applying things that they learned throughout the curriculum to their own needs and to their own future. We want them to facilitate what they've been learning and design a project that they will also place on a personal professional website that they make. We call it a personal professional website because it's a website about themselves. Every student compiles a portfolio of their work and their projects that they've done in a website that is also about them and includes their interests and portrays them as a worker and as a person, a human being at the same time. So they develop their own personal professional website, put their projects on it, and complete another large-scale digital project for the capstone course. So in the course of all this, they're building a professional social media network. They're building a profile. We ask them to develop their LinkedIn profile, and then they can take this website that they create and actually put it on their LinkedIn profile so that it's cross-referenced, and people who want to hire them can learn a lot about them from one click. So as you see on the right-hand side, excuse me, of this chart, it's a personal professional website with a resume on it. We ask them to reflect on their work and place some reflective statements on the website as well, to link to their LinkedIn and Twitter feeds, and place again all the projects that they've done in the digital communication, information, and media program and at Rutgers. Anywhere else they've done projects, maybe they've written great papers, they could put a PDF of that paper on this website. And it's a nice kind of like one-stop place for the student to reflect on their life and their study at Rutgers, and then show future employers exactly what they've been doing, and think a little bit more about their identity as a professional as they do this. And then when students complete these classes, here's what they tell us about the experience. They say, "This class has helped me immensely. The final group project provided me with experience I'm sure to use in the future. The course helped me realize that leadership online has to take a different approach than if you were a leader offline. They have to think about themselves as leaders of these teams. It helped show me how more of the digital and virtual world is becoming an increasing part of work life today, and people need to adjust to it. The assignments became easier over time because the groups became more organized in terms of how to function. And this is an important point too, that students have to take responsibility for their own organization and timelines and task setting, and they become better at these skills along the way as well. The project taught me how to work in a group for an extended period. Having to work things out by ourselves let me feel how virtual group members feel when they have to work together, but don't know if they can trust their teammates yet. So they build trust. They build work relationships. And finally, they told us we liked figuring out group management by ourselves, how the groups worked together and who did what. Because when we get jobs, we won't have someone to tell us what to do. They'll have to operate as members of groups, and they've already practiced that at Rutgers in project-based learning. So just a few final thoughts. Projects work with students' desire for media technology use and their superconnectedness. They don't work against it. They help students work with what they're already inclined to be doing, which is being online. Projects, especially remote online technology-based group projects, provide students with skills that employers demand. Students can also compile their projects in a portfolio and then share that very widely and easily. Project-based learning helps students become more collaborative, more detail-oriented, more organized thinkers and workers. So in short, it helps learners create knowledge, not merely consume knowledge, which I think is a wonderful goal for higher education. Here are my references, the different things that I've used and sources that I used for the information and statistics throughout my presentation. Finally, I just want to thank you. Again, I wish that I could have been here in person, but this is my contact information. If you would like to reach out to me to discuss any of the above or I could provide you with more detail, I'd be very, very happy to do so.